On June 27, 1985, in a conference room in Denver, a committee of state highway officials took a vote. It lasted a few minutes. There was no press, no ceremony, and when it was over, the most famous road in America no longer existed. Not closed, not demolished, deleted. Struck from the federal highway system as an administrative matter, the way you'd retire a form number. 2,448 miles. 8 states, 3 time zones, gone from every official map in the country. This is the story of how America built the Mother Road and then spent 30 years quietly taking it apart. To understand why Route 66 died, you have to understand why it was strange to begin with. In 1926, the United States had no national highway system. What it had was chaos. A patchwork of named trails privately promoted, marked with painted bands on telephone poles. The National Old Trails Road, the Ozark Trail, the Lone Star Route. Every one of them run by an association selling memberships to the towns along it. The federal government decided to end it. One numbered grid. Even numbers running east-west, odd numbers north-south. Zeros reserved for the major transcontinental routes, 10, 20, 30, all the way up to 90, which is where a businessman from Tulsa named Cyrus Avery entered the story. Avery sat on the board drawing the map, and he wanted a road running from Chicago to Los Angeles, but not straight. He wanted it to bend southwest, through Oklahoma, through Tulsa, past his own businesses. He got it. The route he pushed through cut diagonally across the country, dropping from Chicago down through Missouri, clipping 13 miles of the corner of Kansas, running the full length of Oklahoma, across the Texas Panhandle, into New Mexico, Arizona, and finally, California. He wanted to call it Route 60. Kentucky wanted 60 for itself and fought hard enough that Avery backed down. So he went looking for a spare number. 66 was unassigned. By most accounts, Avery simply liked how it sounded. The double six rolled off the tongue, and it would look good on a sign. That was the entire decision-making process behind the most famous number in American road history. For its first decade, Route 66 was barely a road. When it was commissioned in 1926, only a fraction of its 2,448 miles were paved. The rest was gravel, brick, packed dirt, and in one notorious stretch of the Texas Panhandle, a section called the Jericho Gap, a clay that turned to glue whenever it rained. Local farmers kept teams of mules on hand and charged stranded motorists to pull them out. The rumor along the route was that some of them helped the mud along. Then the weather changed everything. Between 1934 and 1940, drought and dust drove hundreds of thousands of people off the southern plains. Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Kansas. They loaded everything they owned onto whatever still ran, and they pointed it west. And there was exactly one road going that way. John Steinbeck put it into The Grapes of Wrath in 1939 and gave it the name that stuck. 66 is the Mother Road, the Road of Flight. The name was in print before the road was even finished. Route 66 wasn't fully paved until 1938, 12 years after it was commissioned. Then the war came, and the road that carried refugees west started carrying something else: troops, tanks, machine parts. California became the arsenal of the Pacific, and 66 was the supply line feeding it. Convoys ran it around the clock. When the war ended, millions of servicemen had seen the American Southwest for the first time. A lot of them wanted to go back, and this time they came back with cars, paid vacations, and money. What grew along that road in the 1950s has no real equivalent today. Because there were no bypasses, every single car heading west had to pass directly down the main street of every town on the route. Springfield, Tulsa, Amarillo, Tucumcari, Winslow, Barstow, which meant a town of 400 people could support 6 motels, 4 gas stations, and a diner. Because it wasn't serving 400 people, it was serving everyone driving to California. So the towns competed. The neon got taller, the signs got stranger,
A trading post in Arizona put up a billboard that just said, "Here it is," with the silhouette of a jackrabbit, and people stopped because they had no idea what it was. Motels built rooms shaped like teepees. A man in Oklahoma built an 80-foot concrete whale in a pond, and people pulled over for that, too. In 1946, a musician named Bobby Troup drove the route out to Los Angeles and wrote a song about it on the way. Nat King Cole recorded it. Get Your Kicks on Route 66 became a standard, and it's been covered ever since. Chuck Berry, the Rolling Stones, Depeche Mode.
By 1960, there was a television series called Route 66. It ran 4 seasons. The road was now more famous than anywhere it actually went. And that is precisely when the federal government decided to kill it. And here's something that usually gets lost. Route 66 was never one road. It moved. Constantly. In almost every year of its working life, some section was rebuilt, straightened, or relocated, which is why the same stretch of country can have 3 or 4 different Route 66 alignments running near each other, laid down in different decades. The largest of them erased a city. The original 1926 route ran north out of Santa Rosa, New Mexico, up through Santa Fe, then doubled back south to Albuquerque, a detour shaped like a fishhook. In 1937, the state opened a new alignment that ran straight west instead, cutting roughly 100 miles off the trip and taking Santa Fe off Route 66 completely. The official reason was efficiency. The story that has followed it ever since is that the outgoing governor, Arthur Hannett, who blamed Santa Fe's political establishment for his defeat, ordered the shortcut built specifically to punish the city, and had crews working through the winter to finish it before his successor could stop them. Whether or not that's the real reason, the effect was identical. Santa Fe lost the road, which makes Santa Fe the first town Route 66 ever killed, 48 years before anybody got around to killing Route 66. The story of Route 66's death starts with a young Army officer and a very bad road trip. In 1919, a lieutenant colonel named Dwight Eisenhower joined a military convoy attempting to cross the United States by road from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. It took them 62 days. They averaged around 6 miles an hour. Bridges collapsed under the trucks. Vehicles sank into mud. Several were written off entirely. 26 years later, Eisenhower was in Germany, and he saw the Autobahn, a road network built for military movement. Controlled access, no cross-traffic, no towns in the way. He became president in 1953. In 1956, he signed the Federal Aid Highway Act, the largest public works project in American history. Tens of thousands of miles of interstate, 90% federally funded. And the design principle underneath it is the thing that killed Route 66. Interstates were built with controlled access, no traffic lights, no main streets, no stopping unless you deliberately chose an exit. Route 66 ran through towns. The interstate was engineered specifically to run around them. 4 interstates carved it up. 155 took Chicago to St. Louis. 144 took St. Louis to Oklahoma City. 140 took the long middle, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. 115 and 110 took the final run into Los Angeles. But it didn't happen all at once, and that's what made it cruel.
A bypass doesn't kill a town in a day. It kills it in about 18 months. The pattern repeated dozens of times across 8 states, and it always went the same way. The interstate opens, traffic doesn't taper, it collapses, often overnight. The gas stations go first because they run on volume, then the diners. The motels hold on a little longer, living off the drivers who still take the old road out of habit, until those drivers stop coming. Then the buildings just stay standing, because nobody has any reason to knock them down. Glen Rio sat directly on the Texas-New Mexico state line. Motel, diner, gas stations, post office. 140 opened past it in the early 70s. Today it's a row of empty buildings with a state line running through the middle of them. Amboy, California sat deep in the Mojave. A school, a church, and Roy's Motel and Cafe with its enormous mid-century sign bypassed the same decade. The population has been in single digits for years. Texola, Oklahoma, ND, New Mexico, Cuervo, Ludlow, Baghdad, California, which was cleared so completely that the only thing marking it today is a line of trees, and it kept going for more than 25 years. Section by section, state by state. From the late 50s into the 80s, Williams, Arizona was the last. Population under 3,000, sitting on the final stretch of Route 66 left anywhere in the country. The town fought the bypass in court for years and lost. In October of 1984, the last section of Interstate 40 opened and Williams was cut off. Route 66 was now, end to end, a road running parallel to something faster. 8 months later, those officials met in Denver and made it official.
Here's what most people get wrong about what happened next. Decertification didn't demolish anything. The asphalt is still out there. Most of it. What got removed was the number. The federal government stopped maintaining it as a through route. The shields came down, and responsibility dropped to states, counties, and in some places, nobody at all. Some stretches became state highways. Some became county roads. Some became frontage roads running alongside the very interstate that replaced them. Which is why, driving I-40 across Arizona, you'll see a strip of cracked pavement running beside you for miles with absolutely nothing on it. And some sections simply stopped being maintained. They're still there, coming apart in the desert. But the shields coming down did something nobody expected. In Seligman, Arizona, bypassed in 1978 and effectively finished, a barber named Angel Delgadillo watched his town empty out. In 1987, 2 years after the road was formally deleted, he helped organize the historic Route 66 Association of Arizona and started pushing the state to sign the old road as a historic route. Arizona did it. Then the other states followed, and the road came back. Not as a route, but as a destination. People stopped driving Route 66 to get somewhere. They started driving it because it was Route 66. Seligman is a tourist town now. So is Williams, the town that lost the court case. Tucumcari's Motel Row is full of people photographing neon. You can still drive most of the original route today, if you're willing to follow brown, historic Route 66 signs, drop onto frontage roads, and occasionally stop at a chain-link fence.
There's one more date worth knowing. Route 66 was commissioned on November 11, 1926, which means that this November, a road that was officially deleted 41 years ago turns 100 years old. There will be events in all 8 states. There will be plaques. There will be signs bolted onto a road that, as far as the federal highway system is concerned, does not exist and has not existed since 1985. It was never the shortest way west. It was never the fastest. By the time it was finally paved, it was already being planned out of existence. But it's the only American road with a song, a novel, and a television series to its name. And the interstates that replaced it have none of those things. The road that got deleted is the one everybody remembers.